Senator Shaheen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you both for being here today. As we talk about the 2019 revolution, it's known in many quarters as the women's revolution because about 90% of demonstrators were women who participated in that and had for many years played a prominent role in advocating against Bashir's brutal regime. But unfortunately, as is often the case, women were sidelined from peace talks, and they had to demand representation and inclusion in a transitional government. Deputy Administrator Coleman, you talked about what we're doing to strengthen civilian leadership and capacity building among women. So can you speak to some of the particulars and highlight what we're doing to address the women, peace, and security requirements that say that women should be included in peace processes in areas like Sudan, which are trying to resolve conflict?
Yes, thank you, Senator. You're absolutely right. This is in no small part a women's revolution. And if you look at the television that carries coverage of street demonstrations still in Sudan today, you see women out front and center risking life and limb to continue carrying the flame for a better life for themselves and their children. We are working with women's groups across much of the country, as we have been for many, many years. We have relationships in many of the states where we've been working in a humanitarian context, where we have developed good relationships with civil society organizations on the ground that have been partners in our humanitarian efforts. And some of those groups are part of our women, peace, and security efforts, too. They have strong views on what should be happening. Their voices have not been heard, have not been included. We are, as I noted, providing them with advocacy training, even with transportation money to help them get to Khartoum to engage in a broader discussion on peace building, making sure that they're connected with the UNITAM's facilitated efforts, providing them with both funding and training on media. I mentioned the woman who has started her own media business. We're also funding a women's talk show in Sudan. You can think of it sort of Sudanese Women Meet the View. It's women from different ethnicities, different demographic groups, young, old, across the country, sharing ideas on what the future of the country might look like for them. So it's bringing lots of different viewpoints together.
So how specifically are we going to continue to promote the inclusion of women in the next stage of negotiations? I appreciate all of those civil society building efforts, but if we're talking about the negotiating table, are we demanding that in terms of our participation, that women be included in that? Either one of you can respond to that, Assistant Secretary
I'll turn it to Assistant Secretary Fee, but I will just say absolutely, because they are such an important voice and presence. They themselves demand a seat at the table, and we will ensure that they're there.
Good morning, Senator. Yes, absolutely. We have discussed this directly with the Special Representative of the Secretary General, who leads the UNITAM's effort. And he fully supports the goal of having women and has been meeting with women's groups and including them in the process that he's undertaking right now. So absolutely, that's a commitment on our side and on the side of the international community.
Well, thank you. I'm really pleased to hear that and hope that will continue. Just to switch gears a little bit, and I only have a few seconds left, but Russia obviously has refused to condemn the coup leaders. They've stuck to their playbook of blaming the West for the instability. What does Russia want to get out of Sudan?
Senator, some of the details of our assessment there might be better handled in a different setting, but it's known that the Russians are interested in the port of Sudan, and I think generally we can see by Russian conduct globally that they're interested in exploiting insecurity for tactical gain and financial gain.
Thank you. Well, hopefully we will have the opportunity in a classified setting to address that question in further detail. Mr. Chairman.